Hi, my name's Kim. I'm an introvert that travels the world whilst being on a tight budget, and today we're going to be talking about nervous flying or nervous flyers, and if you are one, what you can do to make the flying experience better. I know that I travel a lot, so you think that, well, she's not going to be scared of flying, she must be a pro, but the thing is, I am a bit of a nervous flyer, and I'm going to be explaining some of the things that I do when I'm flying to make myself feel more at ease, and things that I think that would be really helpful for you to do as well if you do experience anxiety when you're traveling. I read that 25% of the American population suffers from some form of nervousness when they're flying, and 6.5% of the population actually have the actual fear of flying. You may think that 6.5% isn't that much, but when you take into consideration the population of America, that's 20 million people like you who are scared of flying. 20 million people is a lot of people. So I've come up with 10 tips to help you get better at flying, feel less nervous, and enjoy flying overall. Let's just get into it. The facts. The more you know about flying, the less nervous you may feel. But in people who I've spoken to who are scared of flying, it's not the act of flying itself that makes them scared. It's the fact that they don't have control over what's happening, and the fact that something may happen, however statistically tiny that probability may be. It's the fact that there's a possibility. But for me, the statistics kind of make me feel at ease, so I sort of reel them off in my head when I'm starting to panic, and this might not be good technique for some people because regardless of how many facts you throw at them, it doesn't ease any fear, but for me it does help. So I'm more likely to get injured if I'm driving myself to work than I am on a plane. It's safer to travel long distance by plane than it is to drive. Pilots train for 18 months to be able to fly a plane, at least 18 months. I took 3 months worth of lessons and I can drive a little metal box down the motorway at 70 miles an hour. And these pilots have been training for at least a year and a half, and they're basically taking you on a bus in the sky. And if I can trust myself to drive after 3 months, I'm happy to let the pilot with 18 months worth of flying at least to be able to take me places. And bear in mind, a lot of pilots have had this passion and enthusiasm since they were very young, so the odds of you getting somebody who's only just flown for 18 months is very low because they've usually been flying for years and years, and a lot of pilots have been flying for longer than I've even been alive. Flight attendants go on multiple flights a day, which can be hundreds or thousands in a year, and they're fine. The latest global airline safety report reported that there were only 90 commercial airplane accidents in 2013. 9 of them having fatalities, so only 173 people died in 2013 on all commercial flights. So even if your plane is in an accident, the odds of you actually dying from that are very, very low. And another thing I tell myself is the act of being scared of flying sometimes is quite egotistical. It means that I guess I am more important than everyone else, and because I am on this plane, something's gonna go wrong because I am here. In most aspects of your life, you are special, you are unique, you are amazing. But when it comes to airplane accidents, you're not special. There's nothing special about you. If you're on a plane, that plane is as likely to have something go wrong as any other of the thousands of planes that are flying in the sky at that time. So I tell myself, I'm not special. Why is this plane gonna have something happen to it just because I'm on it? That there's no reason why it would, because I'm on it. So I'm not special. I don't need to worry about it because I'm not special. So I don't let any of that occupy my mind anymore. I kind of like almost have it on a mantra when, you know, nervousness does start kicking in. Like, you are not special, driving is safer, you're fine, don't worry about it. But you could say to me, Kim, there are always articles in the newspaper that say that planes have had accidents. But the thing is, somebody went into the back of my car 2 years ago when I was going down the motorway, and it didn't make the news. Why? Because it's not unique. Cars crash every day. is not a unique thing to happen. Aeroplanes don't have accidents every day. So when something does happen, it's newsworthy because it's a rare thing. It's not because flying is dangerous, it's because accidents happen so little. That's why it's newsworthy. Tip number 2. Trust the travel industry. The commercial flight industry has been going for over 100 years, so they've had enough time to figure out how to do it. And like I said in the earlier point, pilots have trained so much to be able to fly you on this trip that they're taking. So you don't need to worry about it. Just trust in the industry and trust that they know what they're doing. Tip number 3. Fly with people you trust. When you go on a flight with other people, you'll be distracted by their excitement, and by having them being excited will make you more excited because nobody's worrying about anything. You're not in your own head about things. You're just experiencing what they experience, and it distracts you from what you normally encounter when you're on the plane. So you're less likely to feel worried or panicked if nobody around you is worried or panicked. If they're just excited to go on holiday, then that emotion is more likely to rub off on you. Seeing them flying without feeling anxious may help you not feel so anxious too. There's a sort of safety in numbers. Tip number 4, distract yourself. So this is something that I do a lot when I'm flying. So one of the ways that I distract myself mainly is by looking out the window. And if you're scared to fly, I guess looking out the window may not be the best thing for you, but for me, I love being in high places and seeing things from a height. So for me, looking out the window is an amazing distraction because I get to look at the land and the forming of the land and things going on beneath me, and I really enjoy doing that. If I'm on a short flight, I take books or crossword puzzles, or I've got my phone and I have music, or you know, things to watch that I've downloaded on it, or ebooks, audiobooks, things that I can basically immerse myself in to not be aware that I'm on a plane. And if you're on a longer flight, take some things that you can make yourself comfy so that when you're on the flight you can go to sleep, and it's less like being asleep on a plane and maybe more like falling asleep on your sofa. And if you take your work with you, you can pretend that you're just in your office, not on a plane like 35,000 feet in the sky. So just do things to distract yourself. Stuff that you'd normally do at home, adapt them a bit and try do them on the plane so you feel like you're more at home rather than you're on a plane. If I'm on an extra long flight, I like to take one of those sheet face masks and some moisturising cream, some wipes, and give myself basically like self-love, self-care moments on the plane, like relaxation. So when I go onto the flight, I know that like halfway through I'm gonna basically pamper myself, and it's something to look forward to then when you're on the flight, rather than dreading going on the plane. You're going, oh, when we get halfway there, I can like proper chill, relax, have a nice time, and it makes it less of a thing to dread and more of a thing to be excited about. Don't get an exit row seat. So for some people, being by the exit row may be comforting for them because if something happens, you can be straight out the door. But this may actually cause more anxiety because if you're sat on an exit row seat and there is an incident, then you may be partly responsible for helping the plane to evacuate. When you get on the plane and you take your seat in an exit row seat, the flight attendant comes and basically has a chat with you about what your role would be when you're evacuating the plane. So if that sounds terrifying, don't sit in an exit row seat. But if you like the comfort of being next to the door, then maybe sit just a couple of rows back. Sit down, count how many seats tops it takes for you to get to the exit row. So if something does happen, you know that all you gotta do is you've got to touch 3 tops of seats to get to the exit. So you just go 1, 2, 3 out the door. You can feel yourself out if there is an incident. Familiarise yourself with the noise that the aeroplane makes. So planes make funny noises. For example, when you take off and it is ascending, at a certain point the pilot turns off the thrusters and it kind of sounds like the engines are dying, but they're not. It's just the thrusters being turned off, and it's, you know, basically going into normal flight mode. Knowing the different sounds that the plane makes when it's in different parts of its journey could help you. So when you go into land, the wheels make like a big clunk and a noise, which is normal. Or when they put the flaps out on the wings, they do like a really sort of like weird buzzing electrically sound, which is normal. Knowing all of the sounds that the plane makes may help you not feel so anxious. So if you do hear something that sounds weird, it's probably just a noise that the plane's making anyway. It's just normal. Like you're driving down the road and you know that your car makes like certain noises when you do certain things. Like you change gear, it makes a noise, and you're like, oh, that's making a noise because of that. The more you learn about planes and what they do and how they work, the more you can kind of figure out what's happening and the noises that they're making. It's just normal. Watch videos on flights to get accustomed to the noises that they make before you leave. Turbulence. So I know that turbulence can seem scary, and I've flown in a lot of rough turbulence in my time, but know that it is perfectly normal and perfectly safe. Planes are engineered to be able to take a lot, and they are not going to get damaged from turbulence. So basically what turbulence is you're flying through the air and there's a difference in air current. You're going through basically like a pocket of air moving a different way. And this can be caused by the weather that's going on beneath you is a little bit rough, or maybe you're going over some mountains and it's pushing the air in a different direction to the, you know, the upper airflow, or maybe it's just the jet stream decided that I wanted to go that way now. But turbulence is going to happen and it's fine. The pilots are trained well to be able to handle it. They have a look to see when it's going to happen and try and predict it happening, and to try and divert around it. That's not always possible, but they use loads of things to figure out how bad it's going to be and if they can get around it, such as weather reports before they're leaving, information pinged to them by other planes in the area, cockpit radar. All this they use so that they can try and get around any turbulence that they do, and the turbulence that you go through is the best route that they can get to give you the least amount of turbulence as possible. If the pilot does put on the buckle seatbelt sign, then buckle your seatbelt, because they know what they're doing, and if they think it's going to get rough, it's safer for you to have your belt on than not. Only 58 flyers a year are actually injured from turbulence, and 2/3 of them are flight attendants, so only actually 20 passengers are injured from turbulence a year. And considering 80 million people fly a year, that's hardly anybody. So turbulence is safe, the plane can handle it, it's engineered to be safe, you're fine. Tell the flight attendants. If you're feeling worried or something, tell the flight attendants. They can help you, they are there to help you, they've been trained to help you. So if you're worried about something, let the flight attendant know, and they can see if there's any way of answering your questions or alleviating your fears. They know a lot about planes and a lot about flying, so just talk to them. So another way to calm yourself when you're feeling really anxious is using breathing techniques. So taking a breath in for 4 seconds and a breath out for 8 seconds. This controls your breathing, which can stop anxiety or at least hyperventilating and going into a panic attack. So if this is something that you're worried that's going to happen, just control your breathing, calm down, and hopefully this will pass. You'll be fine. So the last tip is fake it until you make it, and this is literally what I do. So I've got a list of things that I do when I go onto the plane, like a schedule. So I tell myself I am a strong, independent, anxiety-free woman. I love flying, it's amazing. I get on the plane, I high-five it from the outside because I'm like, yeah, you're a mate. And I don't know, it's just turned into some kind of tradition now where I high-five the plane, but it makes me feel better because I feel like me and the plane are mates. I get on the plane, I take my seat and I go, do you know what? This is a great plane. I love this plane. This plane is going to get me to my destination. No doubt. I have no doubt about it. I love this plane. I'm basically psyching myself up to like loving flying essentially. After I've said to the plane that it's amazing, I basically put out everything that I want for the flight, and then I look out the window. We take off, I look out the window all the way until we get to the cloud line, because I just love looking out the window. When we get to the cloud line, I've already got everything out ready that I want to do to distract myself, so I don't have to spend like another few minutes trying to get everything out of my bag, which can cause anxiety then, because I can't find the thing that I want, what's going on. There's none of that, it's already out, it's fine. So I can just get straight into reading or straight into audiobooks or whatever I've decided to do on that flight. And then before you know it, you'll probably be landing anyway. At the end of the day, a few hours of discomfort on a plane, for me, is worth what's on the other side. I'd rather go through feeling uncomfortable and nervous in myself for a few hours and then be able to go on this amazing adventure on the other side. For me, all that is worth it. It's worth it 1000%, because at the end of the day, the odds of something happening are very low, and like I said at the start, you're not special. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found it really handy and you can use these tips when you travel next if you are nervous flying. If you have any additional tips that you'd like to share, I'd really like to know them, so please comment down below. I make 2 informative travel videos every week at the moment, so if you'd like to learn more about travelling, don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below and ring those bells so you're notified every time that I post a new one. If you are new to travelling, I'm going to put a video up here which will tell you step by step everything that you need to do to travel, and down here I'll put another video that I think you'll find really handy. But for now, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you again. Enjoy your life. Ta-da!